Okay, so here's an introduction to Angela Carter's novel Nights at the Circus. That's the cover, very nice. And this is a novel that came to mind because somebody had asked about a book about set in the circus, which is why I thought of this text. I haven't actually thought of anything you can compare it with yet, but I will do so because this is such a great book. I really like Angela Carter. If you're interested in Gothic, I mean, I guess you could call this Gothic, or fantastical. If you're interested in fantastical, this is great for that. It's also, I guess, you could call postmodern. Okay, so it's a great deal of fun. But if you do like the sound of Angela Carter, there's also a collection of hers called The Bloody Chamber, where she rewrites fairy tales, Grimm's fairy tales, from a sort of feminist perspective. That's a great read. And if you like Gothic, then yeah, you might have a little look at that. But this is Nights at the Circus, and I will read you the beginning of this one. It's set, I think it's late 19th century. Yeah, something like that. Laura love you, sir. Oh, terrible Cockney accent. Feathers sang out in a voice that clanged like dustbin lids. As to my place of birth, why, I first saw light of day right here in smoky old London, didn't I? Not billed the Cockney Venus for nothing, sir, though they could just as well have called me Helen of the High Wire, due to the unusual circumstances in which I come ashore. For I never docked via what you might call the normal channels, sir. Oh, dear me, no. But just like Helen of Troy was hatched. Hatched out of a bloody grey egg while Bow Bells rang, as ever is. The blonde guffawed uproariously, slapped the marbly thigh on which her wrap fell open, and flashed a pair of vast blue, indecorous eyes at the young reporter with his open notebook and his poised pencil, as if to dare him, believe it or not. Then she spun round on her swivelling dressing stool. It was a plush-topped backless piano stool lifted from the rehearsal room, and confronted herself with a grin in the mirror as she ripped 6 inches of false lash from her left eyelid with an incisive gesture and a small explosive rasping sound. Feathers, the most famous aerialist of the day, her slogan, is she fact or is she fiction? And she didn't let you forget it for a minute. This query, in the French language, in foot-high letters blazed forth from a wall-size poster, souvenir of her Parisian triumphs, dominating her London dressing room. Something hectic, something fittingly impetuous and dashing about that poster. The preposterous depiction of a young woman shooting up like a rocket, whee, in a burst of agitated sawdust towards an unseen trapeze somewhere above in the wooden heavens of the Cirque d'Hiver. The artist had chosen to depict her ascent from behind, bums aloft, you might say. Up she goes, in a steatopygous perspective, shaking out about her those tremendous red and purple pinions, pinions large enough, powerful enough to bear up such a big girl as she. And she was a big girl. Evidently, this Helen took after her putative father, the swan, around the shoulder parts. Okay, so, you know, it's kind of crazy. You might be thinking, what the heck is going on? The heroine claims to have been born with wings. Okay, she's a circus performer, and she says that's how she was born. And then she says she was hatched from an egg. So the references to Helen are to the Greek myth of Helen of Troy, whose father was Zeus, and he fathered Helen on a mortal woman, but Zeus took the form of a swan, which is why Helen in the Greek myth was born out of an egg. Helen was not born with wings, but that's Feather's story. And I hope it takes this very sort of bawdy, but light-hearted, humorous, funny tone. You don't know whether to believe things or not believe things. It gets very weird, but you know, it's very sort of exciting and dramatic. And one of the phrases you can use to describe it is magic realism. Okay, so if you think you like the sound of magic realism, let me know, and I'll try and suggest a few more. Quite a lot of magic realism was written in other languages. So English proponents are not as common, but I'm sure I can rustle up a few if you like the sound of that one.